Hello, fellow human! Welcome back to another Dank Doggo ProRevenge. So our revenge for today is from you/Weep Sauce Oishi, with the title of When Karen Used Down Syndrome Kids Against Me, She Didn't Expect This. Hard to tell what the story could be about, but to use poor, innocent, dysfunctional kids for your personal gains, this makes them really evil. Alright, let's see the story. I can finally talk about this. After years of threats of legal action, etc., it is now officially over. Back in 2003, when unemployed, I decided to volunteer at a local education facility that specializes in helping out young to late teen kids with Down syndromes or high level of autism, which causes them to be antisocial. I hate not being able to work, so volunteer not only got myself out of my boredom, doing nothing everyday schedule, but also gave me a positive when applying for work. Everyone likes someone who is always trying to better themselves. It is a great place with some great people who also volunteer, and the kids are imaginative and show love unconditionally. The local community was also amazing, donating items, clothes, food, and money to help keep the facility running. Just shy of 2 years later, after many people coming and going, Karen appears. At first, she has a nice smile and is accommodating. The kids seem to love her a lot. Until the jealousy started. Karen didn't understand for the last 2 years I've been doing volunteering, even when doing part-time jobs I could find, so she assumed I was just recently new. So when the kids always came to me and give hugs and tell me what they did that day and show off their art, well, Karen didn't like this, and she was jealous of my popularity with the kids. This started a spate of things happening. I was a smoker at the time. Not anymore, I've quit since 7 years ago. Best thing ever. So a rule was to make sure lighters, matches, and cigarettes were locked away in lockers at all times. This included medication, mobile phones, anything that could be a bad thing in the wrong hands. Also, the kids would tell anyone that something was sitting out in the open that shouldn't be there was there, and we would put them away. But this one day, Karen had gone to the manager/HR administrator to say that I had left my cigarettes out with my lighter and an electronic one which was unique. I was busy that day, so I was apologetic, as I could have easily forgotten, as you are kept off your feet constantly. But in the back of my mind, I had a niggling doubt that I'm sure I put them in my locker. Over 4 months, every 2 or 3 weeks, something else was left in the open, or door to the cleaning closet was left open after I had used the equipment inside. Each time Karen had went to the manager/HR to say about this, Karen has kids of her own that left after they hit 18 plus, so at the time I'm putting it down to automatic motherly defensiveness for the kids. The following month, one of the girls, we call her Jo, not her real name, had burst into the room crying with blood flowing quickly from her nose. All the volunteers, including myself, instantly went up to check on Jo. She's looking flustered, looked at me and gave me a big yell and ran off to hide. When Jo was flustered or upset about something, she would always hide. But she always came to me first to say why or to hint at why, but this time she didn't. And then Karen burst in. "How could you do this to Jo?" Devil's eye peering at me. I'm taken back. What? Who? What do you mean? What happened to Jo? She replied, "I can't believe I just watched you 5 minutes ago punch her in the face." And she rushed off to the manager/HR. I'm standing there, unsure of what the hell's going on. Jo's in the corner somewhere behind boxes crying her eyes out. Some new volunteers looking at me as if I'm bad, and the older kids looking perplexed because I've never done this at all before. Even with Down syndrome, they understand most of what is going on around them. Manager comes in quickly, looking angry, which is understandable hearing what Karen told her. Asked why I did this shocked me hard. Because here is the manager who has known me for the last 2.5 years and instantly thought I could do this to kids. I denied it, of course. I've been in the room for at least 25 minutes. The others couldn't corroborate as we are always busy and we don't notice small things like who is in the room and for how long. And the manager goes to Joe and asks her. She looks at me and instantly sobs her heart out again and says a stammering yes. This hit me harder than the manager instantly thinking I could do this. Joe has been like a little sister who would tell me everything and always come to me when in trouble. So police were called, everyone given information. Joe was too scared and still in her place of hiding. So I was effectively let go pending an investigation. Hardly anyone get reinstated after any type of investigation, but Joe's parents were seemingly at lost words and didn't think I could do this. And after talking to Joe on their own, they dropped charges. But the damage was done, and I was asked to never come back. Later I found that Karen and her jealousy was telling other newer volunteer staff that I was touching up the kids, always hitting them, and leaving dangerous stuff about. She had watched me at my locker, digital number keypad type, and saw my pin for the locker, and left things about, including the lighter and cigarettes, all because the kids would always come to me. Fast forward to 2009. After lots of rejections from other places for volunteering, one place was run by an ex-volunteer who knew this was all BS and gave me a chance. She was great and understanding. We would help all types of people in the community to do events for charities, etc. I enjoyed it very much. And one day, the boss came to me and said, "Oh, guess who's coming back with kids today? Only goddamn Karen." Since years back, Karen has moved up the ranks, so to speak, and had through some rumors forced manager to quit. So wanted the ex-volunteer who ran this place to help the kids put on play so she can show it off to regional director who helps fund the facility I used to volunteer at. Oh boy, oh boy. Lucky for Karen's never get to see me. She talked to the person who runs the place I'm at now. Everything is arranged. And the kids would come twice a week for 5 months to work on and rehearse their play they would put on. Sort of real life situation that they meet in their lives and how to overcome them. And of the eldest kids is Joe. She sees me and rushes over to me and hugs me to death, crying at the same time, saying sorry about what seemed like forever. I patted her head and said it's okay because I know she was coerced into it. It fit the scenario. Joe told me everything she could about Karen. She punched Joe, told her to blame me. She wouldn't. Then she got punched again in the same spot, this time with a threat to tell it was me or she would never come back here and go to the bad place, which was publicly funded place, which isn't really good. Light bulb moment, real life situation, and how to overcome them. I got in touch with Joe's parents and they were so apologetic because Joe told them everything and they tried to tell manager/HR before, but she put it down to Joe isn't sure and just wanted me back. So I told them of the play and if you could introduce Joe's experience with Karen as part of the play. They were hesitant at first and after a couple of hours I get text on my phone, "Yep, go for it. Take that lying escort down." So months go by. Joe knew not to tell anyone about the play, it was a secret. Then, it was time for the big night. The room is packed. Other groups did the chores, plays, artistic dance was their night. Then it was time for the big night. Room is packed, other groups did the chores, plays, artistic dance was the great night. I looked through the thick wine curtains at the stage to see Karen, looking all pleased with herself next to the director. Apparently this was make or break for Karen. Please the director get the manager position, which was a paid position and not volunteer. She was temporary manager and being paid, but this would solidify it. Then the kids came on. Each group did their own things. They were amazing, and people were enjoying it. Some jokes here and there that we helped the kids remember. Then Joe was last, a solo performance. Joe stood on the stage in her best voice. My time at XXX, facility name by Joe. I'm watching Karen through the curtain and she's looking perplexed, forcing a smile at the director who was loving it and way paying super attention to all the kids who wouldn't be if you were funding the kids. So I stepped to the side of the curtain, and then eventually Karen's eyes met my face and I cheekily waved. And then her face became one of massive concern. Joe put on an amazing performance, and that piece of their resistance was her solo part about Karen. In the dark, with the light shining on Joe's dramatic effect, she mimicked what happened to her that day. That hurt me, Karen. Why did you punch me? You did this to me, not OP. Me, of course. Then she covered her nose again as if it hit again. No, Karen, don't hit me again. I don't want to leave here. I'll do it. She stands up straight from her crouched defense position and says, Karen told me to lie and say OP hit me or I would go to the bad place. The director's face was unforgettable. He sat with his jaw literally hanging down and mouth agape. Karen was looking at me, at Joe, at the director, back and forward, and you could see her trying to figure out something to save herself. I just walked back to the stage, job done, later high-fived Joe and told her good job, you were amazing. She gave me the biggest cheers grin with a thumbs up, made me tear up. Karen blamed me for obviously making Joe say all these things, and police were called again, but my boss didn't take her side, of course, and allowed me to remain. For years, Karen would always serve me up some weird summons to court for one thing or another. I would go and she wouldn't, so I automatically win. Now, there is a second ProRevenge here. One of the girls who was at the facility when I was there was Meg. Again, not real name. She had Down syndromes, but also MS. Sweetest girl ever. She was bullied by Karen to say stuff about me, such as touching her, but Meg would say no every single time, even when Karen would pinch her badly on parts of her body like arms, back of the neck. Meg patients thought kids in the facility were hitting her and gave her a teddy bear she called Barry the Bear. Barry was special. It had a camera. So she would have the bear, and if anything bad happened, she knew to press the bear's paw to start recording. Anyway, they forgot about it because Meg didn't have any more marks, etc. Guess Karen stopped tormenting her. But unfortunately, Meg lost her battle with MS March of last year, and they were going through her things, and father found Barry the Bear and remembered why they got it. They went through what was recorded. Now, back then, things like that did exist, but were heavy and expensive and not much storage. While Joe was playing with Barry the Bear as Meg allowed her to play with him, they were good friends. Joe must have accidentally pushed the paw and start recording. And on the recording, you could hear Karen in the background coming near. Karen had a policy of telling the kids not to touch things not theirs. So Joe must have feared that and put Barry on shelving next to her. And we didn't see what happened, but it recorded sounds. The threats, the audible strikes, the crying. So Meg's parents told me about this and started me down the legal route to finally get Karen for good. It resulted in going court, and after a day, they found Karen guilty. But she was banned from working with kids, placed on register which records violence against children for 15 years, and was fined $50,000 and was paid damages to me, Joe, and Meg's parents. Unfortunately, the stigma received back then never did go away. I still can't go back to another facility to volunteer even after the truth. But that is okay. I'm currently going to start another new job and will volunteer at the weekends. But I know Karen and her ambitious jealousy is now having the worst time ever. Everyone in the community knows what she did, and she has become a bit of recluse and hardly ventures anywhere. Sorry for the long story, didn't realize I typed so much. Well, that is sure a long story. Take that, Karen. Sometimes I feel you really have to take revenge matters on your own hands. Because for malicious people like Karen, you just have to do it. So first of all, Karen destroyed OP's reputation, peaked OP's pass lock, and left his belongings outside, then complained it to the manager, hoping that it would somehow got OP fired. Then hitting down Syndrome Kid not once, but twice, and threatened them to blame it to OP. Then OP got fired, just like how Karen wanted. At first I thought, yeah, maybe this is all because of, jealousy. But then I realized that Karen was aiming for the manager position. And it is a position where you got paid, unlike volunteers. So I'm glad things turned out to be a happy ending. Jo and her parents collaborated with OP to take down that evil of a woman. Karen had to pay fines and was banned from volunteering community. Good ending. And now for the comments. u/nerdycrackhead719. Holy freaking poop! That was an epic takedown, OP. I can't believe people out there exist who would do that to a kid just to gain something for themselves. I'm glad Karen was blacklisted. Screw her. u/AmadKMimi replied, so sad that OP was also blacklisted. Sounds like he or she was a good help to children and really cared about them. Yeah, I feel the same way too. All OP wanted to do was to spend his positive energy on these unfortunate kids. But nope, Karen got him blacklisted for most of them. Username Phoebe1 said, this is epic. I've worked with kids my whole life. If your name is Best Merch, you are done. And if you didn't do anything, I'm sorry the parents didn't have your back more, but please a sponge that they did at the end. Well played, my friend. That is all for today, fellow humans. Thanks for watching. Dank Doggo appreciates your time. If you enjoy our content and want to see more of us, stay tuned and subscribe. Don't forget to smash that like button or a doggo will cry. Also, you can tell us your doggo comrades, your experience in the comment section. I will catch up with you guys later in the next video.